Hey, what's up? Lightboltjoe here. Today we're going to discuss the brand new May 2020 book, Sal and Gabi Fix the Universe by Carlos Hernandez. So, I did not like this book. Go figure, because I didn't like the first one. The Rick Riordan Presents banner, right, gives us beautiful stories of different cultures and their mythologies and their gods and goddesses and lore, right? The lore specifically within the Arusha books and the lore specifically on the Tristan Strong books. Everything else is kind of like gods, goddesses, deities, you know, things like that. This book series, these two books are supposed to be about human heritage, things of that nature. As I said in the first review of the first book, I learned absolutely nothing about Cuba. And it's unfortunate because I'm sure it has a beautiful culture that I am not aware of. The only thing Cuban about this is that these kids have Cuban parents and they all live in Miami. That's it. Everybody speaks Spanglish. I don't get it. Like, this is not a, like, Rick Riordan Presents imprint that I don't understand how this Sal and Gabi, like, duality was approved just because it's not mythology and it's not lore. So it's weird. It's very weird. Like, what is it? Paula Santiago and the River of Tears. That's the next book we're going to talk about after I read it. It's about Mexican lore. Specifically on the Curse of La Llorona. Llorona! I think of Coco every time I hear that. But yeah, like, that's literal lore. You know, that's like actual stories. So, it's weird. So, the Sal and Gabi Fix the Universe is exactly like the first one. It's two separate books in the first book, and it's two separate books in the second book. You have one book of middle school adventures and drama and laughter and friendship and family, which is great. I actually enjoy that part. And then the second book is the sci-fi craziness of a multiverse, which is just so full of plot holes, and it drives me nuts. This book was panned to fix the problems, to fix the universe that Sal and Gabi broke in the first book. Sal and Gabi didn't break no universe in the first book. We talked about that. I'm not going to rant about what I already talked about, but the biggest plot hole in the entirety of these two books, which should not be... This book was, what, 424 pages long? Absolutely not. In the first book, Carlos had introduced to the characters an old uni app that different universe kids can talk to each other. What's the point of introducing the app if you're never going to use it again in the end of the first book to solve problems and the entirety of the second book to solve problems? Just didn't... No. Dumb. So you have this old universe Gabi, who they call Fix Gabi, trying to fix the universe by by opening up all of the membranes to the different universes so they can all be one, kind of a thing. Because Sal's dad in other universes is closing all of the wormholes, which inadvertently is exploding the universe. So, in order to fix the universe, you have to keep the wormholes open. That's what's explained. So then, eventually, as time goes on, there's multiple Gabis coming from multiple universes coming together to destroy the Fix Gabi. And then Sal comes about and says, you know, she's just lonely. You know, she doesn't actually want to fix anything. She just wants, you know, everything to be okay so that way she's not lonely because her Sal was lost. Or so she thought. And that was it. That's the book. Now, I have an issue that the first 70 pages, I was reading it, right? And I realized that 50 pages of the first 70 pages of this book was about Sal complaining that he had to pee for 50 pages. And then the next 20 pages, up to, you know, 90-ish, it was Sal talking to the robotic toilet in his school about how he had to pee and that the toilet is going to measure his ketones for his diabetes. Why are we talking to a toilet for 20 pages? Why are you complaining that you have to pee for 50 pages? I don't get it. Carlos writes in such a weird way, and it drives me nuts because he'll write something and it'll get like really cool and it'll be like, all right, this is that moment. And then the moment doesn't happen because there's a stop. And then it's a flash forward to the next day. And you're like, why? Why are you doing this? Or He writes that Sal has to pee for 50 pages. I don't get it. Like, what was the purpose of having Iggy just explode vomit everywhere on 11 people in the bathroom at the very end? Like, I don't get it. There was no point of that. There's so many no points of these little plot holes in this book, and it's unfortunate because I want to like this book. The best part of this entire book is all the scenes that has to do with Yasmini because of his family struggles. He's trying to find acceptance somewhere with friends, with family. You see him crying constantly in a mirror, or, you know, being hugged by a bunch of Gabi dads, or however you want to put it. Plus the Vidon family as well. Sal's dad and stepmom are great characters. You know, it's really cool having those family dynamic things here and there. The friendship that Yasmini and Sal has, I think, is awesome. When they bro down for that one sleepover, I thought that was really cool because 3 weeks before is when the first book took place, and that's when Yasmini was bullying Sal. So to have a true character development on Yasmini's part and Sal's part was pretty neat. But this is my point. I only enjoyed the middle school friendship aspects and the fact that they had to put on a whole Alice in Wonderland interactive play during a parent-teacher conference, which, again, had nothing to do with the plot points. But it's two separate things. It's multiverse nonsense, which is illogical, and the middle school stuff. I feel bad because I should love it because it's a Rick Riordan Presents book, but I can't. So Sal and Gabi are the books, the two books, and I hope that there's not a third. It's not referenced that there's a third. I mean, there's clearly a cliffhanger at the very last sentence, but there's no reference of Sal and Gabi something the universe, you know, coming 2021, thankfully. But yeah, it's just not. I didn't learn anything about Cuba, and I learned so much about so many other cultures reading Rick Riordan's books and reading his Rick Riordan Presents books based off of other authors' heritage. Carlos Fernandez might have Cuban heritage, but that's it. I don't know any Cuban lore. I don't know Cuban history. I don't know any Cuban mythology. I know nothing about Cuba. It's unfortunate. I don't like this book. I don't like the two books, for that matter. But we read it, we talked about it, and there you go. We're done. Mucho mahalo.